So why don't you tell us a few of, so you've got the sci-fi and you've got the fantasy. Why don't you tell us maybe some of your influences? Like what are some books or authors or things that you like maybe read as a kid or read now that are really
Yeah.
influential in what you do?
Yeah. I mean, like you could do the whole progression, you know. Loved Bill Pete. I don't know if it's a Canadian thing. Did you ever read Bill Pete kids books?
Mm-mm.
They're like, okay. If you ever get a chance to just look up, they're picture books, but they're like weird. Like he
Yeah.
just has like bizarro ideas and I just loved them as a kid.
Yeah.
So I think right off the bat, it wasn't like I wasn't reading kind of just traditional little stories. They were like fantasy.
Yeah.
And I love that. Obviously, C.S. Lewis. I remember
Mm.
I was given the Lord of the Rings trilogy for Christmas one year. Had no idea. My parents are like, my family, science fiction is just not on their radar at all.
Right.
But they picked this book up, you know, this trilogy up for me, and I finished it through the Christmas break and was obsessed with Lord of the Rings for like forever.
Yeah.
So
And
like
and
early
probably
on,
still
those were,
are.
yeah,
That's me. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, last night I was just sitting in my house thinking, I'm like, oh, I just want to watch The Fellowship of the Ring. You know, like
Yeah.
it just comes back. Anyway. So yeah, like, you know, pretty classic sort of influences when I was younger. Um, Recently, I think I came to like all of these trains really late. Found Rothfuss probably 5 or 6 years ago, and is still like one of my all-time favorite writers. Like, I'm just so inspired by how beautiful his prose is. Like the way that he tells a story is just, I don't know. I think it's beautiful. I know people
Mm.
get upset at him, but I really like
Yeah.
him. Ironically, I read Brandon Sanderson after I drafted Earthbound, and then I was like, crap, because we have kind of similar themes as Stormlight in terms of like oaths. And then, so I went through an existential crisis and then thought, oh, what the heck? It doesn't matter. You know, like it's a different story. But I read one of his books and then had to read, you know, virtually almost all of them. And so
Yeah.
he's been a huge influence just in terms of like, I was daunted writing a fantasy book because I think there's such a dedicated fan base and I just didn't know if I could live up to
Yeah.
expectation, you know, like there was kind
Sure.
of that weight of like, I don't know if I'll get in trouble. I just feel like Sanderson's very accessible. Like I know
Mhm.
that some of his books are really big and daunting that way, but I think the way that he builds a world can feel, to me, it felt really like, oh, let's just come on into the world. Let's figure it out. Instead
Yeah.
of a more Tolkien-esque sort of like,
Well, his
ponderous working
prose
out.
is very easy to read.
Yes.
It's not, I've been reading. I'm about halfway through the Wheel of Time. Part of the reason it's taking me so long is because I actually don't like the prose. So like I
Yes.
love the story, I love the characters, I love everything about it. The prose is really hard for me.
Yeah.
So that I like that about Brandon Sanderson too, because and specifically Robert Jordan's prose, because I know Sanderson finished that series. But um yeah, but I agree. I'm just reading Tress of the Emerald Sea, and it's just so like light and easy to breathe. Yeah, love it.
Yeah. Yeah. It just pulls you through. And I like, that's something that I definitely want in my books. Like, I just want people to be able to pick up, fall into the world, and be able to, they're very character centric stories. So it's just like, just let me pull you along. Like, let's
Mhm.
just go, you know? So I definitely feel seeing that in the genre has really like, it's freed me a little bit to just go, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this kind of the way I want to do it.
Yeah. I think Sanderson too is I haven't read all of his books. Confession, I've actually not read Mistborn yet. I just
That's
haven't got there.
okay.
Um
No shame. There's no shame.
yeah, it's on the list. It's in the pile. I just haven't
Yeah.
got there. I'm a
Yeah.
slow reader, so like the Stormlight books take me a long time to get through.
And the big. Yeah.
And I kind of split it. Like if I read a big book, then I kind of like I need a small book in the middle to kind of break it up.
Yeah.
Um but I think what he has done for a lot of authors is just really shown like what you can do as far as your author business and also the
Hmm.
stories you can tell. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just cranking out books. I mean, obviously he has a team and like I get all that, but
Yeah.
but at the same token, he's also using that platform to push forward like new avenues for authors and fight for, better systems and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I
yeah.
think, you know, like seeing his Kickstarter was like pretty inspiring for a lot of authors where we're just like, because, you know, traditional publishing can be we always talk about the gatekeepers, right? And if you can, like, how do you
Yeah.
get through? How do you get in? How do you get seen? Like, but the idea that you could gain an audience, write
Hmm.
books that people like, and if you have an audience, there may be a platform for you to kind of move forward in some way that's,
Hmm.
I think, more sustainable for people. I am really excited watching fellow authors launch that way and stuff. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Well, that's, I think, the great thing about how we, our society now is we have social media, which has its drawbacks, of course,
Hmm.
but it allows anyone to build an audience, and
Yeah.
anyone you're direct to consumer, direct to
Yeah.
reader. And so that was kind of, again, part of doing the YouTube channel, is just being able to be like, I don't have a book published yet, but I can build an audience while I'm working on that.
Yeah.
And,
It's brilliant.
like, so yeah, I think it's a great time to be indie and do all that stuff.
Well, and like you're saying with your, like this platform that you have, that people are also invested in you as a storyteller. I think I
Mhm.
just love that sort of play, how it starts compiling, right? And then we see bookstagrammers that are also, authors that are also like, I just think it's kind of neat how you can pick which avenues are working for you and really lean into them.